Live, local, now. This is News Channel 6 at 10 p.m.
Breaking tonight is new information on a body found in a home on 7th Street in Wichita Falls. Good evening, I'm Ashley Fitzwater.
And I'm Chris Cutter. Wichita Falls police say a full human skeleton was found in an abandoned house this morning by someone trying to get out of the weather. Officers say a debit card was also found near the body and say the name on the card is that of a reported missing person. Police do not suspect foul play, but they say the body has been sent off for an autopsy.
In other news tonight, after losing their home to a house fire, a family is sharing their story as they now work to put the pieces back together.
Jessica Gear and her family have lived in their home for years, but now, as Ernest Strother reports, they look to the future with a lot of questions and a few answers.
Right now, I'm not even sure how to go forward.
Those were the words of Jessica Gear after the place her and her family have called home since 2010 was completely destroyed due to a fire.
I was hoping maybe, we might have to replace something, or maybe a wall, and maybe it wouldn't be that bad, instead of coming home and saying it was a total loss.
Gear was just leaving the Archer County Extension Office after graded interviews for 4-H students when she received the news.
And I noticed I'd missed a call from my daughter. She was here alone and couldn't get back a hold of her. My husband called and told us to get home right now.
Gear says her daughter was going for her routine walk when she noticed smoke coming from the house and called 911. And her husband was in Arizona at the time and had to drive all the way back, returning early this morning. Thankfully, Gear's 2 daughters and mother-in-law were not harmed, but they did lose something that can't be replaced.
The most important things we lost were our cats. One of the cats was over 15 years old, and the youngest one was only about 8 months old. They're all little rescue kitties, and then my daughter's bird passed away too.
Gear's family purchased the house in 2010 because their previous home was destroyed due to flooding in 2007. Now, 17 years after having to rebuild the lives they started, they sadly have to do the same thing once again.
I'm not real sure. I don't know where we're going to go from here.
But that hasn't stopped those in the community from stepping in to help. Gear says her daughters have received clothes from Interfaith Ministries, and one of her friends started a GoFundMe to help raise money for the rebuild. And although they are uncertain about the road ahead, memories from the time they spent living at West Jenst are helping them endure the pain. We found some drawings and little letters that the girls had written, me and their dad, saying, "I love you, Mom," back when they were itty bitty, just learning how to write. That one sheet of paper was fine. It wasn't even wet. Ernest Strother, News Channel 6.
If you'd like to help that family out as they look to rebuild, we have a link to their GoFundMe on our website. It's newschannel6now.com.
A check presentation was held today at the Texas Oncology Cancer Center of Wichita Falls. Royal Estates, along with other nonprofits, raised almost $6,000 at their second Finish the Fight fundraiser this past June, exceeding their $5,000 goal. The funds will assist patients with transportation, house and utility needs, as well as other support services. Royal Estates' Lacey Sharp appreciates those involved.
I do want to just express our gratitude, especially to the families that we reached out to that were allowing us to share their story, to just reach out to the community to let them know how Texas Oncology has affected them in a positive way.
Sharp, alongside other nonprofit leaders, went on to say they enjoy coming together and pouring into the community.
Jazz music, it filled the Kemp Center of the Arts this evening as the Wichita Falls Symphony Orchestra kicked off its season. Let's take a listen. Great music. Many came out to show their support too, and a few were even, as you can see, getting their groove on while the orchestra's jazz combo covered a few fan favorites. Operations Manager Amy Robinson says it's the live music that makes events like this one so special.
There's just something about being in the room with the musicians when the music is happening right there, and we just love having people come out, and so we're very excited this season to be more in the community.
Now, if you missed out on this season ticket kickoff, you can find tickets for the upcoming events on their website. Just head to newschannel6now.com to access the link.
Here's your first alert forecast on News Channel 6.
Oh, pretty nice evening. That's what you expect to experience in July here. I like it outdoors this time of year. After the sun starts to go down, there's a nice breeze blowing. It's hot, but usually it's kind of comfortable outside. 90 right now in Vernon, 83 in Graham. We look to the east, 83 in Bowie, Nakona, 85 still in Bridgeport, and up to the north there, Lawton still sitting at 87 degrees here at this hour. Tomorrow morning we start off with the 70s, just like this morning. Lunchtime 81. This like tomorrow, we do get close to 100. We might be a degree shy here or there, but it's going to be a pretty hot day tomorrow. Any rain chances very small. Our main weather features will just be the hotter temperatures, and as of right now, no big weather impacts into early next week. And pollen, well, that's not much of an issue right now as well. So when we have hot weather like this, it starts making me want to think about the cooler days on the horizon. Hey, college football weekend, 51 days away. The first NFL game, 56 days from tonight. And the official arrival of fall is 73 days from now. Halloween, 112, and Thanksgiving, my favorite holiday, 140 days. It'll be here. We'll be drinking those pumpkin spice lattes before you know it.
Thanks, Ken. Tonight we say congratulations to Dee Kelly for being the latest winner in our Chill Down Texoma contest. Dee received a brand new portable air conditioner to stay cool this summer. Dee's AC unit is older and can't keep up with the high heat. Dee and her husband have been sleeping in their living room to stay as cool as possible, but this new air conditioner allows them to sleep in their bedroom again. We still have a few to give away, so head on over to newschannel6now.com to nominate the next winner.
Drivers, listen up. Some changes to a portion of 11th Street in downtown Wichita Falls. 11th Street between Indiana and Lamar is now a two-way street. The center line markers are in place and lines will be painted on the street early next week. The signs are up, alerting drivers that the street is now going in both directions for traffic. Stop signs have also been added at intersections in both directions. And a portion of the citywide Circle Trail in Wichita Falls is closing for a gas line repair. The section that will be closed is from Fairway to the railroad near Seymour Highway Business 277. At this time, there is no completion date set, but a detour will be in place.
The FBI issued a warning this week about people visiting the border being targeted by kidnappers. Take a look.
Crimes have gone down. The homicide rate has decreased, but still the situation is not positive in the state of Tamaulipas with regards to security.
Guadalupe Correa Cabrera is a professor who crosses into Mexico regularly. She's concerning recent reports of hijacked buses and kidnapping for ransom. FBI Assistant Special Agent Marcus Joaquim says American visitors should be aware of their surroundings.
This year, a high increase in the amount of kidnappings that we've seen with individuals getting on buses traveling to and from Reynosa, where we've seen Americans being targeted on those buses, kidnapped, then held for ransom.
Joaquim says kidnappers are from organized criminal groups and demand thousands of dollars in ransom.
But I don't believe there's any correlation between, who is targeted based on age. It's just a matter of the victims who appear to be American or who are American. Those are the individuals that are being targeted on these buses.
The FBI says if you see anything suspicious, report it.
In addition to getting the word out, we want to make the general public aware that, if a loved one is kidnapped, if you become aware of a relative or a friend being kidnapped, contact the FBI immediately.
Cabrera agrees. She says you need to be vigilant.
Today, you just have to take your precautions. So people tend to tell everybody, their family members where they are at. They try not to drive after 6 at night when people have their protocols.
Working for you in Hidalgo, I'm Blake Brown.
Authorities all across Texas are now joining the manhunt for a man wanted in connection to the ambush shooting of a Houston area deputy. Deputy Fernando Escada was called out to a Little Caesars Pizza about an upset customer who pistol whipped an employee because his order was wrong. The deputy found the suspect's vehicle and was even calling it in when he was ambushed and shot. The 28-year-old deputy was rushed to the hospital where he was later pronounced dead. Acting Texas Governor Dan Patrick had this to say about his death.
And the criminals in this city, in this county, and they are there, better be on notice. The police will hunt you down.
Authorities say the deputy was a 5-year veteran of the sheriff's office and a member of a task force that hunts down child rapists, homicide suspects, and other violent offenders.
Officials at Love Field Airport were asking travelers to arrive at least 3 hours early today due to the extremely high volume of departing passengers. Lines were wrapped around the outside of the building. One traveler says that she waited in line for more than 2 hours and she still wasn't all the way through the line. The airport, it says it's taking additional baggage mitigation measures to deal with the congestion. And the statewide gas price average in Texas is now $3.17 for a gallon of regular unleaded, according to AAA Texas. That price is 7 cents higher than a week ago and the same as on this day last year. The national average price for a gallon of regular unleaded is $3.54. The slight nudge came despite Hurricane Beryl smacking into the coast of Texas, a record number of July 4th car travelers, and oil costs hovering above $80 per barrel. Coming up, the energy company over the Houston area is answering questions about post-hurricane outages, and President Biden course corrects after his debate performance sent his campaign into a tailspin. After the break.
All right, a live look over Vernon at this hour. We're looking at those numbers running near 90 still, pretty warm out there, typical July weather. 83 in Burke, and right now in Duncan, temperatures are also running up that way somewhere in the 80s to near 90, even though the gauge isn't reporting there. All right, we're talking about the rain chances that might try to get a little better about a week from now, but until then, mostly just kind of hot and dry. We'll track that in your forecast just ahead.
President Biden faced a crucial test in his efforts to reverse course after last month's debate.
Here's a closer look at the president's hour-long news conference that concluded this week's NATO summit.
President Biden held his first news conference since last month's debate set off a firestorm over his fitness for a second term in the White House.
So there's a long way to go in this campaign. And so I'm just going to keep moving.
After brief remarks, the president took questions from reporters, including CBS News chief White House correspondent Nancy Cordes.
Have you spent time thinking about what it would mean for your legacy, which you've worked decades to build, if you stay in the race, despite the concerns that voters say they have, and you lose to someone who you yourself have argued is unfit to return to the Oval Office?
I'm not in this for my legacy. I'm in this to complete the job I started.
Biden was asked about moves to cut the length of his workday in the debate's aftermath.
And if you looked at my schedule since I made that stupid mistake in the campaign, in the debate, I mean, my schedule has been full bore. I've done, where's Trump been? Riding around in his golf cart, filling out his scorecard before he hits the ball?
Thursday's high-stakes event marks the end of NATO's Washington summit and his first solo news conference in close to 8 months. At a NATO event earlier today, President Biden verbally stumbled when introducing Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, but he corrected himself.
Ladies and gentlemen, President Putin. President Putin. He's going to beat President Putin. President Zelensky. I'm so focused on beating Putin, we got to worry about it. Anyway.
Behind the scenes, senior campaign advisors met with Senate Democrats, trying to assure them the president can win in November. Skyler Henry, CBS News, the White House.
When asked about Biden's unfortunate name flubs, he had this to say.
Have you seen a more successful conference? What do you think? And the Putin piece, I was talking about Putin, and I said, and now, at the very end, I said, here, I mean Putin. I said, no, I'm sorry, Zelensky.
He goes on to say he was thanked personally by world leaders for the summit.
Coming up on News Channel 6, we're going to hear from the energy company over the Houston area. They're speaking out after the post-Beryl power outages and a lot of upset people there. Stay with us. News Channel 6 continues next.
Here's your first alert forecast on News Channel 6.
Let's start down in Young County tonight, looking into Alney. Temperature here sitting at 84, southeast wind 6, and your real feel is at 86. Remember, at night, the humidity goes up a little bit. That's not a big deal. We can deal with it at night. It's the daytime we want that number to go down, and it does in most cases. Lawton, temperature is up this way, still running into the upper 80s. Yeah, you're about 101 to 102 this afternoon. And here in the Falls, we're still sitting at 83. Feels like 85 outside. A little breeze out of the south, around 9 miles per hour. Tomorrow morning, low 70s. Not a bad start to the day. 81 at 9 a.m. Your lunchtime temperature should be above 90. And it looks like between about 3 and 6 o'clock, we should get close to, if not above 100 in several locations, especially across our western counties. That's what we typically, or where we typically see the hottest weather here in our part of the world. 97 tomorrow in Nakona and Bowie, 96 in Decatur, Bridgeport, 100 in Graham, 100 Orchard City, and same likewise here in the Falls at 100, 101 Lawton, 101 Vernon, and 101 in Seymour tomorrow afternoon. Now, the future tracker still not showing much in the way of rain tomorrow. Maybe a spot shower here or there. There's one down near Graham today. But overall, just not much showing up. There's just not anything there to really give us storm chances, at least what we call a focusing mechanism. We don't have a front in the area. That would what we really need to see to get the storm chances going. We saw some daytime heating, some storms with that today. They died out as soon as the sun went away and went down. There will be a couple more of these around tomorrow. We look out west. There's your heat pump. You can see the big circulation around it. And kind of on the outer edge of this, there's been some little disturbances with some storms pushing south through parts of Arizona and New Mexico and down into northern parts of Mexico tonight. And temperatures, even at this hour, still running well above that century mark. Look at Las Vegas and Inferno out west at 113, kind of south of there. Phoenix at 108. And during the hottest part of the day, some of these areas out like close to Death Valley, those areas up about 130 in the afternoon. So that heat pump is going to try to expand a little bit and head towards us. As it does so, it looks a little bit weaker. So while it does get hotter, it won't get anything like they're seeing out west here. It'll just be a little hotter through the weekend, early next week. Seasonably hot is what I've been calling it. But there's indications that this is going to begin to shift back to the west. And as it does so, we get on the outer edge of that again. Remember the flow around it, and that can help bring another front down our way around the middle and latter parts of next week. And that might be our next best chance for rain and maybe even some temperatures that take a little bit of a drop again. You know, in the month of July, we typically don't see many fronts, and this would be what, I think 3 now. So that certainly is very nice. So you know, in the summertime, often we watch the dust come across the Sahara Desert way over there in Africa, and sometimes the upper level trade winds blow that across the Atlantic, and occasionally we can see it here in the U.S. And it looks like over the weekend, early next week, we're going to see a little plume of this dust from the Saharan Desert head up our way across Texas into Oklahoma. Now, this isn't going to really impact our weather much. It will help create beautiful sunsets, and it may make it look a little hazy during the day, but other than that, it really doesn't have much of an influence at all. Here's our 7-day forecast. 100 tomorrow and somewhere close to that right through Sunday and Monday. And we'll continue with that kind of similar forecast into the middle of next week. Kind of a ho-hum kind of forecast. Dog days of summer here, kind of. But maybe late next week. Maybe that's when we see some changes. Maybe a little cooler and maybe some thunderstorm chances.
Thank you, Ken. Residents in the Houston area are losing patience with their electric utility company.
Yeah, CenterPoint Energy says it has restored power for more than 1 million customers, but more than 1 million are also still in the dark.
2 full days after Beryl left the Houston area, CenterPoint says it has met its initial power restoration goal.
We know that we have never before restored 1 million customers in 48 hours.
But 1 million is only half the battle, and Company Vice President Dan Carroll says the deeper you get into disaster recovery, the pace of repairs will begin to slow.
You can expect the second half of the storm for the run rate not to be 1 million every 48 hours, which is basically what we've done thus far.
So could we be looking at next week with people still out of power?
We're not ready to announce that just yet.
We questioned Carroll about the decision not to request more mutual aid workers from out of town. After Beryl hit, CenterPoint scrambled to get thousands more external boots on the ground. Was it a money issue?
Not at all.
You could have called in more, but you didn't.
That's right.
Money had nothing to do with it?
No, absolutely not. It does not come into the calculus when making these decisions.
The company VP maintains when it comes to pre-hurricane preps, he would not have done anything differently. Looking forward, we also asked about CenterPoint's newly released outage map and complaints from 11 News viewers who live in a green or supposedly energized area but are still without power. What good is a map if it's not accurate?
Yeah, we're working on the accuracy right now. We track it consistently. We're making adjustments to the map as we speak it. The other thing I want customers to know is even if you see yourself in that green on the map, don't worry, we know you're out of power and we are going to get to you.
CenterPoint Energy estimates roughly 500,000 customers will not get their power back until sometime next week.
The White House is handing out $1.7 billion to juice electric vehicles in America. The funding, which comes from the landmark Inflation Reduction Act, will will help convert closed down or at-risk auto manufacturing and assembly plants to make electric and hybrid vehicles. The Biden administration says these projects will create 2,900 new jobs and save 15,000 jobs that may have been eliminated. The USDA has issued a public health alert for ready-to-eat meals that were illegally imported from the Philippines. The imported products include corned beef and a chicken spread that were shipped to 9 states. According to the agency, the Philippines is not eligible to export meat and poultry products to the United States. An investigation is underway on how the products got into the country. There have been no confirmed reports of any adverse reactions due to the consumption of these products.
The Lone Star Conference will be seeing a new face, and tonight was one of the biggest nights in sports. Stay tuned.
Now it's time for sports on News Channel 6, sponsored by Midwestern State University.
The Lone Star Conference consists of 17 teams, all of who are pretty good, and now a new member is set to join next July. UT Dallas. Right now the team is in the American Southwest Conference, which is D3, but they look to move up and compete in D2 action. In the last 8 years, the Lone Star Conference has seen 11 institutions join. Sul Ross State joined this year, and as you can see on the screen, the Comets know how to win, so competition for the Mustangs just got tougher. The Texas Rangers wrapped up their series last night with the Angels. They fell in the game 7-2, but they have won 5 of their last 6. Leody Taveras was able to get 1 home run in this one, but the Rangers never really got going. Meanwhile, for the Angels, Zach Neto, who attended the same college as me, Roll Humps, got a homer, along with Mickey Moniak, and the Los Angeles would cruise to their way to victory. The Rangers are set to face the Astros in their series starting tomorrow. The USA basketball team who will be playing in the 2024 Paris Olympics competed against Team Canada yesterday in an exhibition match, or a tune-up. And the team leaned more on defense than offense. Anthony Edwards and Anthony Davis were the lead scorers. Even though they started slow, they did get things going in the second half, which allowed them to get the win. Although the team is still learning how to play with each other, they do look good going forward. And the 2024 ESPYs Awards was tonight, where athletes from all over the world and celebrities gathered under one roof to see some of the best moments from the recent year. Several awards were given out tonight, and some of the most notable being Luka Doncic receiving the Best NBA Player of the Year, Caitlin Clark got the Best College Athlete in Women's Sports, and Steve Gleason received the Arthur Ashe Award of Courage. A great night for sports. Remember, you can always follow the list and text on sports. With the News Channel 6 app, just head to the sports page.
Okay, there it is one more time. Your 7-day forecast. Looking at those numbers beginning to show signs of, well, kind of staying about the same, really. Upper 90s to near 100, kind of what you expect this time of the year. Any rain chances between now and the middle of next week look to be pretty small. Maybe a better rain chance, hopefully, middle and latter parts of next week.
Check this out. A former inmate and gang member, Oscar Rodriguez, has turned a new leaf in working as a K-9 unit trainer. After falling in with the wrong crowd, he was wound up and charged as an adult and sent to prison with a double life sentence. His Lifeline became a program that pairs up inmates with dogs pulled from shelters considered to be unadoptable.
Yeah, in 2016, he created his own program and often returned to the prison to give both dogs and their trainers second chances too. Well, that's just a great story to end the night on, isn't it? I love that.
100%. It's a redemption story there, but for the dogs, it's fantastic. It's
a win all the way around.
Dog story is always good.
I agree. Something good to end the newscast with this evening. We are so thankful that you joined us. We hope you have a wonderful night.
Have a great evening. We'll see you tomorrow.